Hello and welcome to Jupiter, Florida, Day 4. Playoffs underway at the WWBA World Championship. Todd Gold, Frankie Polari here. And Frankie, this is the day that, all these teams that have a deep stable of arms, they kind of save that one guy for the end and, break out the big arm for a playoff victory. And the Evo Shield Canes did that with All-American Beau Burroughs. You were there at a start?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Beau Burroughs we've come to know, and like you said, these guys are either coming back around with their big arms or they're going with a new one that they saved up. Burroughs was saved, and he looked good today. 93, 95 with the fastball. The curveball was back in form that we've seen from him before, and he was very sharp. I mean, it's coming out of the ball well, and he was very effective today. It's
always good to hear. The question mark with Burroughs being that curveball, but having that today in Jupiter on this stage, really going to do a lot for him come June. And another big arm that was on the mound on Sunday here in Jupiter, another All-American, Tristan England.
Yeah, we've seen English better than this before, but he still showed the good stuff we've come to know from him. 90 to 93 miles an hour with the fastball. His slider was very sharp, and that's kind of what got him going. Still wasn't overall sharp, like I said, but the slider was there, the velocity was there, and the arm was still there that the scouts like, and it works very well.
And he's a good two-way player, of course, swings the bat well. Frankie, pop quiz, pitcher, position player?
I'm going with pitcher. I think there are guys that like him as a hitter. The bat speed is there, but when you have an arm that's up to 93 and the way he can spin that slider, there's a lot of value to that.
All right, well, now let's talk position players. We'll stay with the All-Americans. Josh Naylor, power slugging first baseman from Canada. You got to see him today. What did you see?
Now, he's had a really good week. Now, you had to watch this game to see exactly what he did. The box score wouldn't tell the whole story, but he had a line drive today that was 103 off the bat. You don't need to know a lot about data or anything like that to know that's pretty good. And that's the type of bat speed he has, and he's really been on his game this week, staying back on the ball and really driving it to all fields.
Wow, big performance from Josh Naylor. Very good for his draft stock. Another power-hitting first baseman on display this week, Corey Zangari from Oklahoma City. Took the mound the first night, wasn't the kind of performance that he'd hoped for, had some nerves going, but he's been swinging the bat well at 104 miles an hour today off the bat. Hit a line drive off the shin of the third baseman. You don't see that too often. Obviously, that was a big swing there from the big first baseman from Oklahoma City. But now that we've kind of covered some of these All-Americans, there were certainly some other guys that really weren't on the radar as much as these other guys coming in, but made some big impressions today. Who was your top guy in that category, Frankie?
Now, I think you got a few of them, but the guy I think we should lead with is probably Nick Pringle. This was a left-hander that was up to 92 miles an hour. We have not seen that from him before. But probably most impressive was the breaking ball that he threw. An 83-mile-an-hour slider,
wow,
which a lot of times, as we know, can be a little predictive of future velocity. Came out of his hand very well. He was locating.
And more importantly, he's been an upper 70 slider guy in the past, so this is a pretty big step forward for him, not just with the fastball velocity.
And the right stage to do it. I mean, he came out, there were some guys watching him. The crowd built a little bit as he began to throw. Scouts sometimes think these guys, and all of a sudden they come out a little bit different, and he made a name for himself today.
Absolutely. And one other arm, that could maybe be the next Pringle. Take that step forward. Didn't quite do it yet in Jupiter, but is starting to build towards that, and maybe this spring kind of do the same thing for his draft stock.
Kyle Ostrowski, another guy we've seen before, but 6'5", left-handed, comes out of his hand very nicely, 86, 89, up to 90. This is a guy that is not going to surprise you if he comes out in the spring. You start seeing low 90s. He commands his breaking ball. It's a big, slower breaking ball right now, around 69 miles an hour, but he spots it in the zone. He knows how to spin it. Keep an eye on this guy because he may be kind of a late bloomer, and there's a lot there.
Good stuff. Another guy to keep an eye on this spring. There's been a lot of buzz around the complex lately about one specific player.
Jalen Miller, and that's a name that's come up, and he's performing here. We knew about the tools. He's an athletic shortstop with good bat speed. All of a sudden, he's starting to get recognized, and if you start talking to scouting directors, talking to cross-checkers around the complex, it's Jalen Miller, Jalen Miller. It's coming up, and that's a guy that's another guy, it's going into the winter, going into the spring. I think he moved himself up a lot of lists.
Moving himself up, and obviously a guy that we have to talk about every day because he's one of the biggest name guys here, and at the top of those lists already, Rodgers. I think the story here, Frankie, has been the defense.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen highlight reel play after highlight reel play. You look out the window of the tower, it's Rodgers making another great play. He does it on the charge, does it on the backhand. We know he has the arm to back it up, but this guy has instincts defensively as well, don't you think?
Absolutely. I've seen him play probably 20-something times by now. Today was the first error I've seen him make. but he has had so many highlight reel plays. I counted 5 plays that he's made in the last 2 games that no other shortstop would be expected to make, that he made look fairly easy. And of course, he's swinging the bat fairly well. It's not the big offensive showing we've been hoping to see, but certainly a guy that's easily in the first round right now and probably closer to the top half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get spoiled with this guy. You expect him to go off, have 4 hits every game, and he's not always going to do that, but it seems like when he's on the field, he's going to do something for that team.
All right, well, that's a wrap from day 4. We'll be back tomorrow with the championship game right here in Jupiter.